All right, welcome everybody. So this is our second class. How's the volume? Everybody can hear me well? All right, good. So I hope that you enjoyed the first class on chakra alignment. This will be the second class. So the second class, we're still going to be laying down some foundations. And while I was getting ready for this class, I was giggling, remembering a story my mom once told me about one of our family members that she gave her a phone call and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she said, "I'm watching working out." And my mom said, "What? What do you mean you're watching working out?" She said, "I'm watching a show on working out." And it reminded me of this chakra alignment process. A lot of times we learn about chakras, we put pictures, we buy stones, we buy crystals, we do all these different things, but we don't actually do the work. So this second class is going to be setting up some more foundations for doing the work. And we're going to be covering the root chakra in detail. So I'm not going to spend class time from this day on covering each chakra in detail. I'll leave that up to you because after this class, I want to get down to the good core work. So I hope you had a chance last week or since the last class to take a listen to your own inner self-study and determine what is your mission statement in life. What type of major or minor realignments in your life would you like to see on a global level? And then from that, you can take a look at each individual chakra and see where you can fine tune it. So let's go ahead and get this on screen share and jump right into our information today. Right, so when we're looking at the root chakra, we understand that there are quite a few different things that it means to us. So first of all, the root chakra in Sanskrit, it's called Muladhara. And we understand that Muladhara means the root support. And when we're studying the root chakra, we also understand that it has a specific peak developmental age. So the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth chakra all have target ages in which they're the most important time of development. So the Muladhara chakra is between the ages of birth and 5. And what this means to us is that oh, give me just a second. Let me admit somebody else in. What this means is between the time we're born and about the age of 5, this is when our deepest impressions, our deepest conditionings are occurring at the Muladhara chakra. And what do I mean by conditionings? I'll talk about that in a little bit. So first of all, we want to identify where the location or the general physiological location of the root chakra is. And we understand that that is at the base of the spine. So the base of our spine includes the coccyx, the tailbone, the feet, the legs, the hips, the pelvis, the rectum, large intestine, bones, and even our teeth. This is like our foundation. So imagine sitting on your tailbone or sitting upright on your sits bones. If your sitting posture isn't stable, the rest of your structure may become unstable. And that's the same thing with the energetics of the Muladhara chakra. If between the ages of 0 and 5 in particular, there are a lot of negative conditioning factors, that establishes a situation where all the other chakras are built upon an unstable or maybe unusual or maybe a secure foundation. Not all of us have issues in certain areas. So when we take a look at the Muladhara chakra in particular, I want to go over it in great detail, and I'll leave the other chakras for you to do based off the book. So when we take a look at the associated ideas or the associated patterns that are established in the Muladhara chakra, we're looking at things like our ideas about self-preservation, our idea of safety and security. So when we look at our own development, our own evolution, we want to ask ourselves, what was my life like, birth to 5 years old, in relationship to how I perceived the world around me? Is it safe? Is it stable? Or is it unsafe? And this particular time of development will determine the way you think about the world around you. The way you think about the world around you will determine your choices and your overall vibration in that chakra and your overall vibration period. Because we understand that thoughts are vibrations. So what you think affects the way you vibrate. And the way you think about fear, safety, or security has a lot to do with how the Muladhara chakra or the root chakra functions. Now, we also want to take a look at things like our ancestry. Is there ancestral healing to be done? This information is said to be stored in the Muladhara chakra. We also want to take a look at things like, what is your survival consciousness? Now, we understand that there's primary shadow emotions or negative blocking or conditioning emotions in each chakra. So if you take a look in the Chakra Alignment book, I have it listed for every single individual 7 primary chakras. But the main blocking or abnormal vibration that causes the Muladhara chakra to become out of balance is fear. Fear. Fear of not having security, fear of not being grounded, fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of death, fear of pain, or fearing past events to come into the future, or fearing future events. So when we have this type of underlying conscious or subconscious fear, it's very important for us to ask ourselves, how does this affect the rest of my life? How does this affect all my other choices that I make? When we are operating out of emotions of fear, we're triggered vibrationally into other emotions like anxiety, depression, feeling stuck, restlessness, agitation, or even things like feeling frozen in place, fearing taking the next step forward because we fear what will come. So these are important things to understand. Let's go ahead and look at the next slide. And I want you to really think about yourself individually and start taking notes if there's anything in particular that jumps out and you think, oh yeah, that applies to me, or maybe no, that doesn't apply to me. So we talked about the peak developmental age being 0 to 5. There's a lot of other information for each of the chakras. So for the root chakra, we understand that it is correlated to the earth element. In Sanskrit, we call this prithvi. So if we take a look at all the chakras, the 7 primary chakras predominantly, we understand the root chakra is related to the earth element. The next one up is water. The next one up is fire. The next one up is air. The next one up is ether. And they become less and less dense as you move up the developmental stage or scale. Each of them are also associated with a specific color. And you can tell by the screen here that the Muladhara chakra is related to shades of red, dark burgundies, or even black. We also understand that each one represents or is represented by a yantra. Now, why is this even important? Is this just kind of nonsense information? No, it's important because if you have things to work on in this particular chakra or one of the other chakras, you want to understand the functionality of it for your therapeutic sadhana design. Remember, we talked about svadhyaya, self-study. Based off of your self-study, what will be your sankalpa? Because I can't do the work for you. You have to do the work. So to do the work, you have to know what work you want to have done. Your self-study, svadhyaya. You want to set your sankalpa, your intention of what would you like to manifest differently within yourself? What would you like to let go of? What would you like to build and strengthen? And then sadhana. Those were the 3 S's. And the sadhana is important because when we go over this information about each chakra, you can choose therapeutics to integrate into your sadhana, your practice. So you may choose something related to the earth to work on your root chakra. You may decide to wear different colors or paint your walls or change your bedspread. These things do make a big difference in the human psyche and your overall vibration. So let's talk a little bit more about a yantra. What's a yantra? A yantra is a geometrical representation of something. So this picture you see on the screen, it's a 4-petaled red lotus flower. So we often visualize this red-petaled, 4-petaled red lotus flower sitting at the base of the spine, the Muladhara chakra. There's other information that goes into that, such as the symbol in the center is the bija mantra, and I'll go over that as well. And sometimes you'll see also what looks like designs on each petal. Those are actually letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. Anyways, onward we go. So in the center of this yantra, this 4-petaled red lotus, is what's called the seed mantra or the bija mantra. The bija mantra is the expression or the vibrational sound that can help balance and align the root chakra. So the seed mantra for the root chakra is Lam, not lamb, but Lam. So some people will choose to focus on mantra alignment. You may choose color therapy. You may choose other things. So I'm going to go on a little bit more. When we're looking at the root chakra, the Muladhara, we also understand there's an associated metal for each of the chakras. For the root chakra, it's lead. There's also a kingdom associated with each one. And for the root chakra, it's the mineral kingdom. We talked about the colors. We talked about the yantra in brief. And we also understand that each chakra has a numerical association. So why 4 petals? Why not 10? Why not 20? So I've put in the book each of the chakras, why there's a particular numerical association. So for the Muladhara chakra, we can say it's associated with the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. There's also some theories that say that it correlates with the 4 aspects of human consciousness: the mind, the intellect, the consciousness, and the ego. Some people also say it's associated with the 4 seasons, although in some areas there's more than 4 seasons. But it's definitely also related to 4 specific letters of the Sanskrit alphabet: Vam, Sham, Sam, and Sham. So some people will choose just to recite these letters to try to get a better alignment. There's a lot of different tantric approaches that you can take. You can also take the approach in your sadhana for strengthening and aligning this chakra to use musical therapy. So it is said that each of the chakras resonates with a certain sound frequency, and the root chakra is a C note, although you might want to choose a note to harmonize with it, like an F. The root chakra, you can also do therapeutics like therapeutic drumming. You don't have to have a fancy drum. You can drum on a pot or a chapati pan, or even on a bucket in the backyard. But drumming has a very therapeutic effect on grounding and stabilizing the vibrations of the Muladhara chakra. So when you're looking at yourself, when you're doing your svadhyaya, your self-study, and you determine, okay, I want to work on this chakra or that chakra, you're going to also want to ask yourself, what therapeutics do I want to include in my sadhana? Maybe it's sound therapy. Maybe it's music therapy. Maybe it's bija mantra work. Maybe you'll do the mantra Lam. Now, if you look in the book, if you've got the book, we also have information related to the physiological distribution of prana. So prana is our life force. And I have some information earlier in the book about prana and the nadis and the koshas, the panchakoshas, and the granthis. That's not so important for you to have to know to do your work. But when we look at our overall well-being, sometimes when there is an abnormality in the chakra, that abnormality causes an abnormality in the way that prana, life force, energy, vitality is distributed within the physical body. So we understand that the root chakra is associated with, we already said, the base of the spine, the hips, the pelvis, the legs, the teeth, the bones, the rectum, the large intestine. Ask yourself, do you have any abnormalities in that location of the body? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, it's for sure a Muladhara chakra abnormality, but there could be a correlation. We also take a look at each of them having a correlation to a sense organ. And the root chakra is the sense of smell, the nose. And each of them has an associated glandular correlation. And the root chakra are the adrenals. So when we're doing self-study, we want to ask ourselves, do I have any issues around these particular physiological or biological functions? Now, I do want to talk about this one in particular. There are what are called granthis in the body. Granthis are considered blockages or abnormal entanglements due to conditioning. And there's three of them. There's one located at the Muladhara chakra, one located at the Anahata heart chakra, and one located at the third eye, the Ajna chakra. And the Muladhara chakra granthi is associated with how we are conditioned to act and behave, particularly also conditioned speech. So I want to take a look also at some more details on the root chakra. Pull my slides up. And how you can work with your sadhana. Because you don't have to just sit in silent meditation, and you don't need me necessarily to come over with sound healing bowls and gongs. This is something I want you to be empowered to work on. So in class one, we talked about incorporating and calling in the assistance of divinities. What's a divinity? We talked about maybe angels, ancestors, spirit guides, trusted known sources that you have or want to make a relationship with to get help from the spirit world as well. So the root chakra, many people say that you can do prayers or ask for assistance from Brahma or Ganesha Or maybe you choose to use the Holy Mother, or maybe your mother or an ancestor that's passed. So start thinking about who would you like to incorporate from the other side in your sadhana to achieve your sankalpa, your intention, your transformation. And then, of course, there's the fun stuff too, like aromatherapy. And aromatherapy actually has a profound effect. It's said that it takes less than a split second for the deep brain to react and change in response to a smell. So if you want to use aromatherapy for the root chakra, you can use patchouli. That's a very standard one. But they also say that you can use rosemary, musk, cedar, lang lang, very earthy tones. Remember that the root chakra is associated with the earth element. I also like sandalwood. You can also choose to engage your physical body in Yogasama or movement in order to blend in your sadhana goals to balance your chakras. So Yogasana poses for the root chakra would be anything that promotes grounding and stability. So like mountain pose, child's pose, warrior pose. And if you don't know what those are, that's fine. Try grounding. Go put your feet in the dirt. Go garden. Go put your feet in the sand at the ocean. Take a walk barefoot. Any type of grounding activities is very therapeutic. I like to go rock picking. I like to walk along the beach and just pick at rocks and look at them and touch them and hold them and put my feet in the sand. So it's very therapeutic. Other things you can do, we talked about drumming. You can also do what's called nesting. If you choose, you can also incorporate gemstones. The mineral kingdom, each stone has a unique vibration. We're always talking about vibrations. Thoughts are vibrations. Colors perceived by your eyes are vibrations. Musical tones and sounds and mantras are vibrations. So as you work on changing conditioned patterns in your chakras, you have to choose healthier vibrations, no pun intended. So gemstones that are therapeutic for the root chakra are things like hematite, black tourmaline, onyx, red jasper, red coral, anything with a dark red, burgundy, black tone to it usually applies to the root chakra. Okay. So we talked about tending to the earth and drumming, etc., but maybe you also want to reprogram your cognitive thinking. So how often have you known people, or even yourself, people who have issues with safety, security, are often in a state of what they call hypervigilance. So it's a constant or a low-grade intermittent state of fight and flight response. Because just imagine, if between the ages of 0 to 5, or at any other time in your life, you became conditioned in your thinking to believe that the world is not safe, we start judging everything off of that opinion that this is not safe, that is not safe, this might not be safe. When we do grounding, it's important to also do affirmations, because affirmations start changing your conditioned, programmed thoughts. And what are thoughts? Just vibrations. So as you change your thoughts, you want to substitute your thoughts. So each time somebody thinks, oh my gosh, I'm not safe, this isn't safe, that's not safe, he's not safe, she's not safe, this isn't safe, I encourage people to look around them and challenge that idea. Right now, We're on a screen. And we're currently safe. So when the conditioned thoughts of non-safety begin to insidiously change your vibration, it's important to choose new affirmations. So when we choose new affirmations, we don't just wake up in the morning and say it once. I recommend that people take affirmations and program it into your phone. Write a sticky note, like a to-do list. Put it in front of your computer, put it on your refrigerator, put it on the dashboard of your car, things like that. So affirmations for the root chakra, we're looking at conscious messages to ourselves, conscious thoughts to choose, vibrations are thoughts, conscious thoughts to choose, like I am safe. Right now, I'm currently safe. And I believe that with every cell of my body. Affirmations like I am secure, I am stable, I am grounded, I am here now. That's a really important one because a lot of times fear is based off of the fact that our consciousness is not here in the right now. Because right now, if I look around me, I'm completely safe. But if I get all strung out in a thought process of some other conditioned thinking, I might be thinking, and then what if this happens? And then what if that happens? Well, that's not what's happening. So it's important with fear to say, I am here and safe now. And stop projecting into the future and stop digging in the trash of the past, if it's trashy. You can also use affirmations like I am rooted or I release fear. Okay? So this is important to go through each chakra and look at these different therapeutics that you can select to build your sadhana practice. Let's take a look here. So we talked about svadhyaya, self-study. Part of our self-study is based off of different questions we ask ourselves. So in the workbook, the Chakra Alignment workbook, I've gone over and listed different questions for you to propose, although you may have completely different things that come up. So in the root chakra, we already said, what was your life like between the ages of birth and 5? Were you safe? Were you secure? Was your life stable? If not, reflect upon how that affects your current perception of life and journal it, think about it, write it down. In this book, I've provided pages for you to journal. Write in the book, okay? Another question for the root chakra. Have you ever experienced lack of necessities, such as lack of food, shelter, safety? And if so, when, why, and does that event or period of time still affect your current thought processes, your current situation, or your current thinking and choices? And if so, study that, okay? We also, and along those lines, we want to take a look at, the root chakra. You want to try to work sequentially from the base root chakra up. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You don't just work on the top tier of self-actualization until you've built a solid foundation on the bottom. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs understands that first we need safety, security, food, water, shelter. And then you can start working on the higher social things, learning things, and self-actualization. Because that's what this is all about, right? We work on our chakras not because it's new age. This is actually old school. But we work on it for self-actualization, for evolution, for self-empowerment, or for maximum level of this lifetime's enlightenment. Now, another question that we want to ask ourselves regarding the root chakra, and you may have other things that come up, things like, do you experience stress, discomfort, pain, limitation, or dysfunction in the associated structures of the root chakra? So the bones, the teeth, the legs, the pelvis, the feet. And if so, where does that come from? Like sometimes my left big toe hurts. It's not because my Muladhara chakra is out of balance, it's because I broke it. But there are sometimes mysterious, unexplainable conditions, pains, or symptoms associated with the physical body that are actually vibratory correlations to the fact that that chakra, the way it is processing, the way it is receiving, storing vibrations, is causing an abnormality on the physical level. Because we do know that our emotions are thoughts are vibrations, and these vibrations affect how our overall body functions, not only our physical body, but our pranic body, our mind body, etc. In the book, I talk about the panchakoshas, the 5 sheaths, and it doesn't always just correlate with the physical body in the annamaya kosha. Sometimes it correlates to the pranamaya kosha, the breath body. So if we're always in fear or low-grade fear, we breathe differently. So you can see the associations. So what I would like everybody to do is really think about, what is your relationship to your Muladhara chakra? What is your relationship to your gross physical body, to the earth element, to the earth itself? What's your relationship to the mineral kingdom? Can this relationship be strengthened? Or maybe you don't have any problems with the root chakra, and that's fantastic. Then you can just move on to the next one. But if you do have things that you would like to improve with the Muladhara chakra, you want to look through the book, look through the slides, and choose these therapeutics appropriately and incorporate as many things as you possibly can, okay? So I know that we talk about chakra meditation, and we're going to get more into that today. But what about the rest of our lives? How many times have you said to yourself, oh, I want to meditate today? And life went on and you didn't get any time to meditate. But maybe you do get time to say, but I'm going to be conscious about my choice to garden, or I'm going to do earthing exercises, okay? So you can incorporate all sorts of different things into your therapeutics. So let's take a look at the next slides. Oops. There we go. So in the Chakra Alignment workbook, I've talked about ritual. I like to also call it ritual living. It's so common that we get caught up in the rat race of life and we're just moving and we're not really doing things on a deep ritual consciousness. When we live life from a ritual standpoint, from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep to even during sleep, if you consider it a ritual, but more importantly, let's just talk about meditation. If you think of meditation as a wonderful, multifaceted, multidimensional process, you're going to most likely get better results from your meditations. So when we talk about ritual chakra meditation, we want to incorporate as much of this as possible so that we can increase our chances of remodeling our consciousness. In order to remodel our consciousness, we have to change the vibrations. We have to change the way that the prana is distributed in the body. We also want to make it a multidimensional process when we do ritual meditation. What's a multidimensional process mean? We want to incorporate all the elements as well as ritual and divinities. We want to have ceremonial practices. You know, there's nothing like walking into a beautiful ceremonial place, let's say a cathedral. I mean, just walking in, you're like, ah, it feels sacred already. So we want to have a sacred space, even if the sacred space is just in your heart. Okay, you want to have ritual that makes it sacred. And we also want to incorporate a multi-sensory approach. So in the book, I have some pages that go over this process of setting up a ritual space. And really, you could do it any way you want, but the things that I'm recommending will help you bring in that multidimensional, multi-sensory process. So let me open up the book to the rituals section. It's towards the back of the book after you've done all your self-study. So let me just go over this straight from the book, okay? So long-lasting remodeling of the human consciousness is a multidimensional process, and transformation can take place in all the chakras to create new vibrational patterns that radiate through the gross physical body, breath body, emotional body, intellect, psyche, and all the way out into the spirit world, even the collective consciousness. Once the preliminary work is done, studying, reflecting, contemplating, and journaling, then you can embark on the revolutionary remodeling through ritual meditation. Now remember, most religions and spiritual pathways incorporate meditation and ritual. Ceremonial practices create a deeper meaning and a sacred personal connection to what you're doing. Rituals facilitate deeper awareness, and they induce a more profound and powerful state of mind during your meditation. This is very important with change, very important, that you want to enable a profound state of mind. The rituals can include incense, oils, candles, speech, other objects, intertwined with all the elements, incorporating all the senses. This allows a deeper state of consciousness to be achieved and facilitates the remodeling process. Okay. Now, I talk a little bit in the book also about using ancestors, spirit guides, angels, and divinities. And this is so that they can offer or grant you empowerments, guidance, and protection during your process and even after your meditation process, off the mat and on the mat. Okay. All right. Now I want to talk about setting up your space. I know this is a lot of preparatory information, but one thing that I have found over the years, let me take this off here real quick. One thing that I have found over the years is that a lot of times we just do perfunctory practices. I'm going to sit and meditate. But we're missing the depth, the multi-dimensional aspects of it. So this is why I'm placing so much preparatory information on ritual setup, okay? So when we're setting up our rituals, we want to, first of all, get rid of all your distractions. Set your sacred space, put a do not disturb sign up. Tell your family, your dogs, whatever, I'm busy, don't disturb me. Maybe have a private room or a private space, or do it when you're alone, or do it out in nature where you're not going to be bothered. The next thing that you want to do, I highly recommend limiting artificial lighting, limiting artificial sounds, and really moving inward, okay? So the first thing I recommend when you're preparing for your ritual, in the next few classes, we're going to do these rituals. First thing, create your ritual intention. Very specifically, go to your self-journaling pages, go to the work and the svadhyaya, the self-study you've done, and create a ritual intention. Maybe it's a sentence, maybe it's a paragraph, maybe it's a whole page that you're going to read out, declaring your intention for this meditation. Now, you may have several intentions per chakra. Do one at a time. Be very specific what you want your ritual to work towards. Write it in your ritual journal. That there's space provided in the workbook to do that. Please write in the book. This will help you also keep track of your transformation. So date it. Keep track of it. Then you can go back in a week, a month, a year, 5 years and say, wow, I didn't do the work. Or, wow, I did the work and I transformed. Second thing you want for your ritual preparation, you want to set out a candle. So the candle is usually set out at arm's distance in front of you. And remember that fire serves as a bridge between here and the spirit world. Some people call it the mouth of the spirit world. Now you can go the extra distance and choose a candle that's the color of the chakra, a red one, a black one, but it's not necessary. You can just use, 99-cent white tea light candle as well. It depends on how in depth you want to get. And then of course you want to make sure that you have matches or a lighter, and you want to ensure safety, okay? Third thing for your ritual preparation, you want to choose an incense that you want to use during your ceremony. This is going to bring in the sense of smell. This is going to help purify the air around you, but you want to choose an incense that A, is non-toxic, because a lot of them are nasty, like lung pollution nasty. It might smell good, but it's horrible for your lungs. And you want to choose one that's not irritating to you. Okay? Now you can choose one that's specific to a chakra. You could say, oh, I'm on the root chakra, I'm going to pick a patchouli incense. Or you can just pick a standard temple type incense. It doesn't have to be the fancy ones. It depends on how far you want to go. Fourth thing that you're going to want for each of the rituals that you do, and for the ones that we do together, you're going to want to choose a stone or a crystal. Now, it could be just one that is from the yard, or it can be chakra specific. So in each of the chapters for each of the chakras, I've listed a pretty good chunk of the aromas that you could choose for your incense, or the types of crystal that you choose, or stone or semi-precious stone. Okay. Now we also want to remember that the stone is going to be used in the ritual to help record your intention. So in a lot of different cultures, such as the Dagara tribe, they understand that the history, your history, is recorded in bones and stones. So it's going to serve that purpose. Now the next thing that you're going to want, fifth thing, so you have your intention, you have your candle, you have your incense, you have a stone or a crystal. The fifth thing you're going to want is a ritual oil. We talked about the sense of smell, making profound changes in the deep brain. So you can choose a oil that is correlated to the chakra. So for instance, if you're working on the svadhyaya chakra, you could choose orange oil or lemon oil. Or if you're working on the root chakra, maybe you're going to choose patchouli oil. However, when you're doing this, you need to make sure that the essential oil is applicable for body application. Not all essential oils are for application onto your physical body. Some are for, burning and those like candle kind of things. Those aren't for application on your body. They're toxic and they're absorbed through your skin. Next thing you want to make sure with that essential oil, don't get it in your eyes, don't get it on your mucous membranes, and make sure that you're not sensitive to it, because certain oils can cause burns, like peppermint oil, cinnamon oil. Sometimes it can cause actual second-degree burns on the skin. So check out your oil, get it ready, and have it for your ritual. The sixth thing that you're going to want set up in your ritual space, a beverage. So it can be water, it could be juice, or it could be wine. And during the ritual, you'll use this to consecrate. It'll be used during the ritual, and you want to make sure that it's consumable because you will be consuming it during the ritual. Okay. Second to last thing, you want to choose and record in your journal what ancestor, angel, or spirit guide that you're going to call upon during your ritual. Okay, so you're going to record the date you set your sankalpa, your intention. And then in the ritual section of the book, there's also blank pages for you to write the days you do your rituals. So you're going to put down the date of the ritual. You're going to write the intention down in the ritual section. And you're going to write down which divinity you chose to work with, if you choose to work with one. Okay. So you've got your overall mission statement in the beginning of the book. How do you want to change as a human being? What's your life mission? What's your dharma? What's blocking you from self-actualization? Where do you see yourself going? What do you want to do in this lifetime while you're here? Your days are numbered. In each of the chakra sections, you've got pages, you're going to write your sankalpas, your journaling. But in the end of the book, you're going to record the date you do your rituals based off of what sankalpa intention you set, and record which divinity and your experiences during and after the ritual. This is very important. Now, associated with the divinity that you choose, you may also decide to choose your divinity based off of your cultural background, your religious background, or your personal experience. And based off of who you choose to facilitate your ritual in the spirit world, you may want to put a special offering out for that spirit guide. So maybe you choose to work with your grandpa because he was really knowledgeable, or for whatever reason you chose whoever you choose. What if you chose your grandpa, who's already passed on, as an ancestor, and he loved to smoke cherry vanilla pipe tobacco? Maybe you'll go the extra distance and place that in the sacred setup as an offering, as a gift, as an exchange for his guidance, support, help, and empowerment. So sometimes it is a perfume. Maybe your grandma had a favorite perfume, or maybe you're working with Ganesha, so you're going to put out some sweets, or maybe you're working with Kali, so you're going to put out a red 5-petaled flower, or maybe it's a yantra representing what you're working with. Or maybe it's a picture of an ancestor or a statue of the divinity. If you don't have it, it's all right. But if you do, add it in. It makes it richer. It makes it more meaningful. It makes it more multidimensional and long-lasting. Okay? Now, once you have your entire ritual space set up, like take time, set it up, write it out, have it ready for you, have your book open, have your everything written down that you're going to do. Then go take a ritual shower, okay? So I've recently started doing this more often before my rituals, and it does help. They say that certain spirit guides don't like the way we smell. I know that sounds kind of funny to some of you, but when we come into a sacred space, for those of you who attended church as children, or maybe still do, but if you attended church as children, your mom or your grandma or your father might have always said, now go take a shower and put on your Sunday best, right? Do you go to church looking like a filthy pig, smelling like a hobo? No. You also don't go into your ritual space looking a mess. You might feel a mess, that's okay, that's why you're doing it. But you want to go take a ritual shower or a ritual bath. Be clean, and then decide what will you wear into your ritual space. So today I knew we were going to cover the root chakra, so I've been wearing red today. Or maybe you do the ritual with no clothes on, or maybe you do the ritual with certain beads on, or certain jewelry, or certain fragrances. You choose. Choose how you're going to present yourself for your ritual. Okay? All right. Let me make sure I covered all the slides for today. I think that was the last one there. Yeah, that was the last one. Okay, good. So let's take a look here. I want to, before we do any of the rituals in the coming weeks, I want to discuss the process of doing the ritual. So we discussed the process of studying ourselves, svadhyaya. We discussed setting a sankalpa, an intention. How do you want to transform? We discussed all the different elements that you can incorporate into your sadhana for your transformation on and off the ritual mat or location, okay? We talked about how to set up your ritual space and why you go to the extent of doing this. Now let's talk about the actual process of the ritual meditation. I believe that when you understand what we're going to do first, it's easier. You have less monkey mind back chatter while you're doing the ritual. So that's why I want to talk about how we're going to do each of the rituals before we do it, okay? So the first thing that you want to do is you enter your sacred space. It's already set up, right? You've already got everything you need there, your lighter, your candle, your incense, you've taken your shower, you feel good, you're ready, you've got your sankalpa written down, you have your journal entry ready. You want to sit in a upright, comfortable position. One of the reasons why we want to sit in an upright position is to facilitate the flow of the prana through the sushumna channel. And I go into a little bit more of the subtle body in the beginning of the Chakra Alignment workbook. But there's physiological reasons why we want to sit upright when we're doing ritual work. We don't always have to, but for this process we're going to do, I want you to sit upright. Once you've come into your ritual space, you're going to light your candle, and then you're going to do a yogic technique of candle gazing. So during each of the rituals we do together and you do on your own, I recommend having the candle in front of you, preferably at eye level, arm's distance away, and you're going to do a process called Tantric. And that's candle gazing. So when you gaze at the candle, you try not to blink, but you don't strain your eyes, and you allow your mind to start being alleviated of chasing distractions. There's always going to be distractions, but don't chase the distractions, okay? So during this candle gazing time, you start quieting the mind. You begin taking slow, deep breaths. As you change the way you breathe, your nervous system will respond. So I talked earlier about different emotions being vibrations, affecting your gross physical body, the Annamaya kosha, but it also affects the Pranamaya kosha. Well, inversely, if you change the way you're breathing consciously, it will also change your vibration. So during this first process in the ritual, you will do slow, methodical, concentrated breathing to reset the nervous system, to basically tell the sympathetic nervous system, look, everything's cool, everything's good here, and let the parasympathetic nervous system kick in for a calm ritual meditation. And then, of course, you want to relax the body as well, but stay upright. Next thing you'll do is you'll light the incense, but you're not just going to light the incense like, oh, there it is, there's an incense. You want to light the incense with the intention of it being an offering. As you light the incense, you will do a process that's called evoking your spirit guide. You've already decided which spirit guide you want to work with. Of course, you're going to pick one that makes sense to you and feels good, right? You're not going to pick one that's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So you light the incense as an offering, as a welcoming to your spirit guide. And then you want to spend a few moments, we'll spend a couple minutes each time, allowing the incense, the intention, and the thought of the spirit guide that you are evoking to join you. Okay? You don't just light the incense and go on. You spend a couple minutes there. Then what you'll do is you'll have your ritual stone within hand's distance. You'll pick that up, and then we'll spend several minutes working with that stone and your intention. You want your intention written out in front of you. So you want your book in front of you or a piece of paper with it written in front of you, because you will say it out loud. Okay? We don't spend enough time on intention setting and ritual setting, in my opinion, but we will. Okay? Then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to have that oil available that you set up, and you determined which one you want. You tested it, you made sure it doesn't irritate your skin. And then we'll be applying that to the body. So you want to make sure that the oil you pick isn't going to stain your clothes, isn't going to burn your skin, etc. And I'll walk you through that process as well. Then one of the last things that we'll do in the ritual each time we meet with each other is you'll then use that beverage that you set out, whether it's water, wine, juice, sparkling water, it doesn't matter what it is, but you want it to be fit for consecration. Maybe pick a fancy cup, pick a fancy drink, maybe choose something that correlates to that particular chakra or that correlates with the spirit guide that you're working with. So we'll be going through the process of consecrating it for blessing and then consuming it. Then, of course, we'll spend some time in silence, integrating, processing, and then documenting your ritual. Okay? So that is the process that we'll be going through each of the upcoming weeks. So for this week, what I want everybody to make sure that you do, make sure that you've set your mission statement. Write it down in your workbook, the Chakra Alignment workbook. Go through the root chakra at minimum this week and write a minimum of one sankalpa, intention. Decide what divinity you want to work with. Look around, get your stone, get your incense, get your beverage, get your all the different stuff gathered and ready. Because on our next meeting, when we meet, I'm going to have everything on my end set out, and we're going to jump right into ritual meditation. Okay? There's not going to be any more PowerPoints and slides and lecture and discussion. I'm not going to go through all of the chakras point by point by point by point. I'm going to let you do that work. because everybody has different work that they need to do. But for the next 3 classes that we meet, we're going to do the ritual meditation together. So I want it written down in front of you. I want you to have your workbook, even if you haven't purchased the book. So the book is called Chakra Alignment, a transformational guide and journal to reclaim control over your chakras in life. So it's a workbook that I wrote earlier to facilitate this process. You can get it on Amazon. If you can't find it, just go to my website, healthiervibrations.com, healthiervibrations.com, and I have links. You could just click the link, okay? But if you don't have it, just have a journal. Re-listen to the video, get all your equipment, all of your supplies ready. Keep it simple, but deeply meaningful. That way, next time we join, be ready. Be ready on your mat or in your ritual space. Have everything set out that you possibly can incorporate in. Make it as multi-dimensional as possible. Make it as multi-sensory as possible. Already have chosen and documented in your journal what spirit guide you're going to work with. Have it written down. What are you going to declare out loud in your ritual? You don't want to just be like this. I don't know. I had like an intention. I want to feel safe. Like, that's not enough. You got to really put some thought and some deliciousness into it. Because if you're not feeling it, chances are it's not going to work. Okay. So we really want that deep, deep ceremonial ritual connection. Okay. All right. So we have a question online here. Hey, Bob. I work Sunday, Thursday with Friday, Saturday off. Would practicing the ritual be more effective just prior to or after the work week? Doesn't matter. I do ritual all sorts of different days. I did ritual last night. I've already done ritual today. I have ritual tomorrow. I think I do ritual every single day, but I really enjoy it and it really does make a difference. So you can do ritual any day of the week, any time of the day, any location, anytime you want. It doesn't matter. It just depends on your schedule and what works best. Another question is, how do we know who or what our divinity is? Wow, that's, a lot of people ask me that. I would first start by asking, do you have any direct ancestors that you would work with, that you have a working relationship, had a working relationship with while they were alive, or that you would call upon now in the ancestor world? If you're not sure, let's say you don't know the angels. I talked last week about choosing an angel maybe that you work with, Archangel Michael for protection, or all sorts of different angels you can work with, or you can work with different intelligences from different cultures. So I work a lot with Ganesha for removing obstacles. It could be a friend alive or past. If they're past, absolutely. It can be anything from the spirit world, but you want to already have a relationship with them of some sort. And if you just are like this, I don't know, just call upon your holy guardian angel. Just call it that. I call upon my holy guardian angel. Okay? Until you're able to develop relationships with other divinities. And if you never do, and all you work with is your holy guardian angel for the rest of your life, fantastic. Absolutely, you can use spirit guides that are animals, animal guides, animal totems. I'm glad you brought that up. Definitely you can. What is another question here? For next week, should we pick the root chakra or another? Do your work on the root chakra. So go through all the information about the root chakra and set an intention. Unless you just have nothing to work with in the root chakra. Let's say you go like this. Nope. I got a perfect root chakra. then choose the next one up. Go through the book, read through it, set your intention, set your therapeutic, set your sadhana, set your sankalpa. But I always recommend starting from the bottom up. Okay, bottom up, foundation up, necessities and core first. And the Muladhara chakra is so important for establishing a solid, grounded foundation to build, correct, and realign the rest of the chakras. Okay. Well, I thank everybody for joining this evening. Somehow an hour has already gone by. But next week, what we will do is go right into ritual. Another question is, can you explain the Kabbalah? So I don't have enough time in these classes to explain the Kabbalah, but what I've done is I've put information in there depending on what lineages that you're from or different things you study. Then you can work on correlating systems, and the Kabbalah would be a correlating system. Okay. Another question is, how do I know if the incense is edible? So we don't want an incense that is edible. We want to make sure that the incense is burnable and non-irritating to our lungs. We won't eat it. We don't want a aromatherapy that is edible. We're not going to be consuming the oil. That can be very dangerous to consume essential oils. It can be very therapeutic and it can be highly toxic, and it can also cause gastroesophageal burns, hemorrhaging, bleeding, and ulcers. So the only thing that we will be consuming during our ritual is the beverage that you set out, or if you set out what's called prasad. So prasad is like a food gift offering that you put out on the altar or in your sacred space. So if I'm working with Ganesha, I usually put out sweets because he loves sweets. That's why he has a fat belly. Or let's say you're working with, I think some of you might be considering working with your animal totems. Maybe you put out a treat for your animal totem, a gift. Or maybe if you're working with your deceased friend and you know that their favorite thing was pizza, put pizza out. Be really creative. Don't worry about making mistakes. Approach it with a fresh mind of innocence and purity, a pure heart. And the ancestor world is usually very forgiving. Okay? Don't come at it with demands. Don't come at it with expectations. Come at it with purity and innocence, and just choose the divinity that you're very comfortable with. My holy guardian angel. Even if you don't have a relationship or a known relationship yet, you already have a relationship with them. And it's not like your ancestor friend or ancestor animal or ancestor family is going to get mad at you. Right? So thank you everybody for joining, and I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible next week. And for any of you who are unable to attend these classes live, no stress. I'm trying to record all of them and I'll post them on healthiervibrations.com. I just recently remodeled the entire page and the entire website. So you go to the main page and there's a button called the Yoga Room. And right underneath that, there's a little spot called Chakras. And if you click on Chakras in the Yoga Room, it'll take you right to these recordings. So you can watch them, you can share them, you can invite anybody you want to partake in this. So until then, I will see you all next week. And if you have any questions, feel free, let me know. And you can always contact me through healthiervibrations.com.
Thank you, Christy.
You're welcome.